this morning, what is believed to have been human remains was discovered within the premise.
Sean, Michelle, it's a terrible scene here. Many living on the street thought the big house fire yesterday was simply that. Police now say human remains have been found in the rubble.
Explosion like a bomb, like boom! And after that, the fire everywhere. Everywhere. It's a scene that I hope I never see it anymore. Scary.
Residents living near the destroyed Brampton home on Big Sky Road were already traumatized from the fire. Now they're learning within the debris there are human remains.
We have friends that close to him, that knows him and have the phone number and keep calling and nobody have the answer. So we don't know what happened to these people.
Peel Regional Police's Homicide and Missing Persons Unit has taken over the investigation and are working with the coroner's office and the Ontario Fire Marshal. Police say it's too early to report if one or more than one person perished in the fire or if anyone escaped.
Given how current and recent this discovery was, this is a very active investigation and we are still looking into the discovery.
Firefighters responded yesterday around 1:30 in the afternoon. Neighbors told CTV News they're aware of a couple and their teenage child living in the home.
That there was fire here and I didn't hear of any death. So I was thinking maybe the house only, so which can be replaced anyways. And then today hearing that, there are the remains, it makes more sad, make me more sad.
I mean, it's sad. It's hard to hear. These are real people. They have everyday lives. And it's hard to think that somebody so close to us could have such a tragic ending.
It's very sad news. It's like, I don't know. I got no words. Very bad.
A shocking and disturbing discovery, with many hoping for answers soon. And those answers are going to take time. Police say they want to do a proper and diligent investigation to get to the cause of what happened here. Reporting live, I'm Beth McDonnell. Michelle, Sean, back to you. They were called here over reports of gunshots and reports of a man with gunshot wounds. That man was...
I was just actually talking to the concierge, and he says that there was two cars that were following each other, and as soon as they get to that entrance, basically they start shooting. So
And imagine if you were coming in or out.
Exactly. I mean, we see kids, we see people with dogs going around, and it could happen.
I'm on my way to the East Coast, going to Newfoundland. So far, so good. Everything seems to be on schedule, no weather delays, lots of staff on here at the airport. So last March break, not so much. This March break was great.
We're going to Barcelona, Spain for 11 days, and we're really excited.
We're going to Deer Lake for a hockey tournament for 4 days. We're going.
Durham Regional Police Service Homicide Unit launched an extensive and exhausting investigation. Police seized hundreds of hours of CCTV video. The ongoing investigation into the murders has been lengthy and remains an open investigation as we work to determine the specific motives of the murders. Based on the evidence we've collected, we believe this was a targeted killing and not a robbery.
Firefighters tasked with cleaning the blood from the crime scene, which stretches from the Wickrams-Singay home to the house next door. Ottawa Police major crime sources say the main weapon used in this mass killing was similar to a hunting knife, but more than one knife could have been used.
It's difficult when you come across these scenes, trying to properly process, ensure that you just have that desire to ensure no mistakes are made, and they process all the evidence that they possibly can to ensure that these people's deaths are properly addressed in court.
Only the father, Danushka Wickrams-Singay, survived. His wife and 4 children were killed, along with a 40-year-old man who also lived at the house. The suspect was also living there. That was a surprise to the landlord.
It shocked me, not only as a community member, but also as a landlord of the property. Like, why? There was somebody involved in the property who can do this to the family, and I was not even aware of that this person was living in there.
Wickrams-Singay leased this home last summer. He was an Uber driver who paid the rent on time. The landlord doesn't know when the 40-year-old victim or the suspect, Fabriel De Souza, moved in. De Souza, an international student from Sri Lanka. He's charged with 6 counts of first-degree murder and 1 count of attempted murder. There will be a long court process ahead of him.
The shocking nature of it may call into question a person's mental health, and could be good cause to look into that to determine fitness to stand trial and or whether or not they have a disease of the mind that contributed to the allegation itself.
De Souza was studying at Algonquin College before dropping out nearly a year ago. Friends of the Wickrams-Singay family say that the family took him in and that he wasn't paying rent. Judy Trin, CTV News, Ottawa.
Well, the Premier will never squander an opportunity to passionately talk against the carbon tax. Today, though, a warning from the Premier to the federal Liberals that if they don't find a way to have you pay less, they'll pay at the ballot box. Handing out cash to Milton to help with housing, the Premier took a moment to rail against the federal government and a constant irritant.
You know, the carbon tax is the worst tax you could ever put on the backs of people.
A burden he stresses will get heavier on April 1st with a scheduled increase to the carbon tax, expected to add about 3 cents to the cost of a litre of gas.
Guys, wake up, smell the coffee. Like, what don't you understand? Cancel this carbon tax, put it on hold, do whatever, and if you don't, the people of Canada are going to annihilate you when the election comes up. Simple as that.
But it's
At an unrelated event just outside where the Premier was speaking,
the only reason that Ontarians pay a carbon tax is because Doug Ford canceled cap and trade, which also eliminated over $3 billion for revenue that would go to fund healthcare and education.
talking up payments Canadians receive to make up for the carbon tax. The MP for Milton appearing with Ontario's Liberal leader. Bonnie Crombie hasn't yet nailed down an approach to carbon pricing or reducing emissions.
We will make polluters pay, but it will be affordable for families. So we've got an expert panel struck to come up with suggestions for us on what is the direction we will go. And certainly cap and trade is something that would be considered.
Members of that panel will be named in a few weeks. Crombie has another key decision to make, whether to run for a provincial seat here in Milton. It's up for grabs after Cabinet Minister Parm Gill resigned to run for the federal Tories.
So it's very important to consult with the community, and ideally always you want a community or business leader from Milton to run in the by-election.
Crombie insists the entry of a progressive conservative with lots of history with the Liberals doesn't affect her call.
No, not at all. It's not a consideration. I'm going to do the right thing for the Milton community and for myself, and if it won't be me, it'll be the best candidate the Ontario Liberals will put forward.
In the last provincial election, progressive conservatives got by the Liberals by fewer than 1,700 votes. A date for the by-election hasn't been set. The government does have some runway here. Under Elections Ontario rules, they don't have to call a by-election here in Milton until the end of July. Reporting live from Milton, I'm Siobhan Morris. Michelle, back to you.
Today, I am announcing that CFB Trenton will serve as the main operating base in Eastern Canada for our new fleet of CC-330 Husky tanker and transport aircraft. And to accommodate this new fleet and these new responsibilities, we are going to invest $850 million to upgrade the infrastructure here at Base Trenton. These upgrades will enable Trenton to sustain these aircraft and support our contributions to continental defense. And that includes designing and building a two-way hangar, an upgraded apron, upgraded taxiways and a runway, as well as other required infrastructure.
The decision is in recognition of the serious and significant processes that the United Nations has undertaken to address the issues in UNRWA and the recognition of the critical role that UNRWA plays in providing much needed support to over 2 million Palestinians in Gaza, as well as the broader region, millions more in the broader region.
just trying to stay on top of it, because if you let it get up too high, you'll be there all day.
Just absolutely tragic, Michelle. I spent a lot of time this afternoon at a local temple here in Barrhaven where this family was from, and the members of that temple tell me that the family has been coming there since they resettled in Ottawa about a year ago. And members of that temple visited the father this morning in hospital where he continues to recover from this horrific attack. They tell me that he came home from work and came face to face with the accused where he was then stabbed. He is the sole survivor of this horrific attack. I'm told that just a couple days before this all unfolded that he was at the temple with his son where his son was taking lessons, and they also held a baby shower at that facility within the last couple of months before their youngest was born, Kelly, who was only 2.5 months old at the time of the murder. We're at the site right now where a number of vigils have been held. There was one here last night. There's candles, flowers, balloons that are here with the name of each victim. And tomorrow there's another vigil happening at this park. It's only a couple feet away from where this tragedy unfolded, and there will be a very large presence here tomorrow. They're hoping to continue to raise money to be able to send the bodies back to Sri Lanka. There's that GoFundMe effort that's underway that's raised tens of thousands of dollars since it started only within the last couple of hours. Well, we have heard from sources that police are looking into the possibility of multiple knives possibly used in this attack. But when I spent some time at the temple today, I was there for nearly 2 hours. Community members there were telling me that this 19-year-old student, a former student at Algonquin College, was living in the basement of this family, and that they opened up their home to him. He was living there for the last couple of months. They had actually held a birthday party for him within the last couple of months. He was 19 years old, and they were trying to offer him support. The temple members tell me that the family wasn't charging him any rent, and that they were trying to be very supportive for him as he had also resettled in Canada. He was from Sri Lanka as well. And they also told me that the father, the sole survivor of this gruesome attack, had visited with the accused family the last time that he was in Sri Lanka. So we don't know exactly how they met, how their paths initially crossed, but there's still a lot of questions that are part of this investigation.
This is an opportunity for us to show girls the possibilities of what they can do with their future, to talk about some of the obstacles that they may face, and the ways in which they can overcome those challenges.
We have a great team behind this whole event who have really brought their hearts and souls and passions into creating this space for the girls to develop and grow.
Holding her son Rory after being named the game's first star, Natalie Spooner embodies all that the Professional Women's Hockey League has accomplished in a short time.
Yay! I'm sure he won't remember any of this, but hopefully he can watch it back and realize just how amazing it is.
In its first season, the PWHL has exceeded expectations with ticket sales, television audiences, and setting the world record for attendance at a women's hockey game, selling out Scotiabank Arena in Toronto in February. At 33 years old and just over a year after the birth of her son, Spooner is leading the league in goals. A league that she and her fellow players created.
We want it to succeed. Like, this is our careers on the line pretty much. We want to see women's hockey grow. We want it to be there for the next generation.
The Scarborough native has been a mainstay on the Canadian national team for a decade, winning 2 Olympic gold medals. Playing in front of a sold-out crowd at the Mattamy Centre in Toronto, the story of the PWHL's success grew out of past failures. The Canadian Women's Hockey League folding in 2019, the players splitting between competing leagues, but wanting something sustainable and professional.
And so we came together with the American players and decided we were going to fight for something that we deserve.
Seeking advice from tennis trailblazer Billie Jean King.
They really decided to create change, and under the guidance of Billie Jean King, her advice was you need to create a united voice.
PWHL Senior VP of Hockey Operations and Hockey Hall of Famer Jana Hefford says the creation of this league really picked up steam last summer, with Billie Jean King's company partnering with the company owned by Los Angeles Dodgers owner Mark Walter.
These players are creating their own history both on the ice and off, and it's pretty amazing and a pretty special group to be a part of.
When Toronto took the ice against New York on New Year's Day, season tickets had already sold out.
It's probably exceeded everyone's expectations.
All the teams are owned by a single entity with a collective agreement for 8 years, so players are feeling a sense of stability in this league. With the average player's salary at $55,000 US and some above $100,000 per year, so the players are able to make hockey their full-time job.
But would she come out to me?
For Spooner, this stability is something greater than the goals on the ice. It's a chance to inspire a new generation.
Girls in sports, so many drop out by the time they're 13, you know, that puberty age. And I think that the most important part of that is having role models that you can see.
That added responsibility that the players feel is apparent in their interaction with fans.
I always think to myself when I'm meeting these little girls, like, that little girl could want to play for PWHL Toronto one day.
Going into tonight, Spooner's team has won 8 games in a row, with playoffs not starting till May. But for Spooner, her fellow players and fans, the biggest win has already come.
I don't understand why they're clawing it back.
Terrence Bailey was working in the auto sector during the pandemic, and when he lost his job, he applied for CERB. He was approved and received monthly payments for a year and a half, but he was recently told he didn't qualify and must repay more than $38,000.
I was just absolutely blown away. I have no idea that this was coming.
Brenda wrote, "My grandson is blind, lost his job, and was told to apply for CERB. Now he's been told to pay back $13,000. Elaine Goldsmith was advised her Honda Accord is at high risk of being stolen. Her insurance company said she must install the tag tracking device at her own expense or her premiums would go up $500 a year.
No claims, no infractions, no tickets. It feels unfair.
Aldo told us, "My car has a tracking device, but my insurance company is insisting I install one they recommend with no reimbursement or my premiums go up $1,500 a year." The next time you're shopping for meat, you could find slightly cheaper cuts from Mexico. It's sold as ungraded beef. It's safe to eat, but it's not exactly clear what you're getting.
Ungraded beef from Mexico would come from older bulls or cows.
Lisa wrote, "Is our economy in such dire straits we need beef from Mexico to feed our families? This cannot be right." Lenora Bellamere was on social media when she saw an ad to make money fast investing in cryptocurrency. She invested with an online platform and was scammed out of $80,000.
Stay away from it. It's too dangerous.
Jesse said, "My sister also got taken in a cryptocurrency scam. They got her for $350,000.
If you have a consumer story idea, email us at alert@ctv.ca.
This week on W5, a deep dive on a conspiracy theorist who calls herself the Queen of Canada. Romana Didulo has set herself up along with an entourage in the small town of Richmond, Saskatchewan. And from there, she advocates for, among other things, the violent overthrow of the Canadian government. W5's Marilla Fernandez spoke to the community's mayor.
It's terrifying, whatever, and the unknown is terrifying, actually.
Terrifying because of things like this. Letters emailed to Mayor Miller and other Ridgemount officials threatening their publicly broadcast executions and devastation upon children, grandchildren, and families.
Like, I would be dumb not to say that it doesn't affect myself and my wife. Like, we keep the drapes closed now, and our doors are always locked, double-checked. And, like, I don't want to die sort of thing.
In The Cult Queen, W5 investigates Didulo's history and the sway she holds on thousands of followers online.
And W5's Marilla Fernandez joins us in studio now for more on her investigation. That was pretty intense there. How do other people in the town feel about this woman being there?
Well, it's hard for them. I mean, this is a small village, about 120. Everybody knows everybody, right? They don't lock their doors at night because everybody knows everybody who passes through. So they're really quite terrified for a couple of reasons. These are strangers who have come in, sequestered themselves somewhere on an abandoned property where there's a school, and they've been invited in by a local. But they put out violent threats online, and they really are saying that they want the government overthrown, maybe the legislature buildings need to be blown up. People who gave vaccines, healthcare workers who gave vaccines to children during the pandemic, they should be executed. So there's a lot going on here, and people are really quite terrified. They don't even want to let their kids now go out for a bike ride on the street because they're worried about this group being there.
So what is she about? What is her goal in all this beyond just calling for violence?
So it's really not clear. She stays away from the public. She won't talk to anybody. Her followers come out. They don't talk to anybody, but they record people as they go by. She claims to be, as you heard, the Queen of Canada, but also the Indigenous chief, the military chief for the country, and really Queen of the world. She does ask for donations on a nightly live stream, and that's how they seem to survive. But it does seem that she wants to somehow gain authority, saying that Canadians will be free from a corrupt government once she's in authority.
Has anyone ever acted on her orders?
Well, the cease and desist orders that have been sent out online to some of the local officials call for their public execution, as you heard. That's why they're terrified. But it also calls for harm to their children and to their grandchildren. And they're taking that quite seriously. But also in Peterborough in 2022, some of her followers, a group of them, went to the Peterborough police and tried to arrest police officers, saying, "You're not the real police. We're in charge now, and we're going to arrest you." There was a scuffle. Some of them were arrested and charged with assault. So clearly, her followers seem ready to act.
And can the police do anything about this?
They can't right now because they can't tie the email to one specific person, right? It's an email threat. They've got to track that back. They're living on a property and been given approval by that homeowner, so they're not trespassing, and they're not making direct threats to the community that way. So the police are looking for evidence. They're investigating, but right now, their hands are tied.
Before we let you go, how was the process for you investigating this?
It's one of those situations when you begin to scratch the surface, you begin to feel kind of unnerved, right? Because the kinds of things that are being threatened are quite serious. And the fact that when you show up, and this happened to us several times, they would just record you. They would record you for like a half an hour, 45 minutes. Residents say they must have 1,000 pictures of them because that's all they seem to do. They don't talk to you. It's kind of intimidating. We've asked to speak to Didello several times. We tried to interview her, and they just kind of run away. They move. But as a presence in the community, it's pretty overwhelming.
W5's Marilla Fernandez, thank you so much. We look forward to your report. It's intriguing, it's troubling. I'm sure it's going to be a great thing to watch. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Loved having you in studio. And you at home can watch The Cult Queen on W5. It airs tomorrow, Saturday at 7 p.m.
We can't be friends, but I'd like to just pretend.
What
What's your name, big fella?
That's embarrassment. Welcome to headquarters, embarrassment. Oh, yeah. That's not gonna haunt us for the rest of our lives at all. I know change is scary. Let's do this. Hey, Riley! But we need new friends or we'll be totally alone in high school. Out with the old, in with the new. Riley's life requires more sophisticated emotions than all of you.
I don't know if we can be trusted with such a weapon.
The real world.
They have the worst
Really fabulous. It's like, I don't know. I got no words.
Very alarming. And then my whole family had told me to just like stay inside, don't like go anywhere.
Put it on hold, do whatever, and if you don't, the people of Canada are going to annihilate you when the election comes up.
America's red-hot tech stocks cooled off a bit today, the final trading session of the week. Even Nvidia, whose shares are up more than 70% this year as it churns out chips to power artificial intelligence, was down on the day. And a former high flyer, Tesla, dropped 13% this week. Gold hit a fresh peak above $2,176 an ounce, possibly reflecting demand for a haven if stocks slide. On the markets, the Canadian dollar changed hands at 74.11 US cents, down about 1/5 of a cent. WTI oil, the North American benchmark, changed hands at $78.01, down 92 cents. Western Canadian Select Oil, the Alberta benchmark, was at $62.17, down 22 cents. And the TSX Composite finished at 21,737.53, down just over 57 points. That's the latest in business. I'm Andrew Bell of BNN Bloomberg.
The Business Report is brought to you by Canadian Western Bank, the bank built for business.
These lifeguards, these camp counselors can become role models for a lot of kids. I'm proud that we offer thousands of great jobs at fair wages to anyone seeking part-time employment.
Scores! Joel Edmondson's first of the year from out near the... And now Joel Edmondson fires one on the one-timer, left here behind.
Look at this. It's a stampede.
Yeah, look at them all go. Still going.